Hello and welcome to episode 265. That's a lot of episodes of Sudden Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I guess let's start with the draft, Jay.
Let's start with the Steeler moment. We're a Steeler podcast. People know it. Let's just go right into it.
Okay, go ahead.
The fury of emotion, you go through them all. I still don't like the pick, and I'm going to have to be proven wrong at some point. I don't think they upgraded the quarterback position, and I think they took, obviously, a quarterback way too high since none of them went to the third round. But what I've slowly been doing my mental gymnastics is that the receiver, George Pickens, was the first round pick. The defensive lineman was the second round pick. And then they got Pickett in the third. And I was sort of like, okay.
Okay, is that the way you're going to look at it?
That's the way I'm going to have to look at it. Because I'm reading the grades, and they love the grade of the defensive lineman. He sounds like an all SEC player, a lot of sacks. They said the only knock is no clear position, but he might have a better one with the Steelers. I can envision him on a line with, him, Hayward, Alou, and Watt rushing the passer as your four. Like, that sounds pretty awesome to me.
Okay.
Pickens, five-star guy, went to Georgia, played hurt, thought to be a potential top 10 pick coming into the season if he didn't get hurt. His tape looks great. He's a little bit out of control, fist fighting on the field, standing over other players, getting taunting penalties. Like, he's got the dog in him, as they say. But, I wanted a receiver early, and I just feel like in my mind, if I pretend they went Pickens, is it Neal? No, Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And then Pickett, I like a little better. The Pickett pick, I just feel like they spent too much time with a person they liked and jumped the gun a lot. And a 24-year-old rookie who they compare to Andy Dalton is just not somebody I can get excited for when we already have Mason Rudolph and Trubisky.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't like the pick either because I want them to do something other than quarterback. I don't think any of the guys they wanted were there, and I agree with you. Then they should have traded down, which they didn't do.
No.
But I didn't think they'd take a quarterback in the first round. I was surprised. The one thing I was rooting to happen last night, though, and I guess I don't know. I'm speculating it could have happened, but the third round pick before the Steelers took the Texas A&M guy.
Yeah, and Kobe Dean.
Kobe Dean.
Yeah.
And I thought the Steelers didn't. A linebacker was not a pressing need for the Steelers.
Right.
But you had the luxury then, if he couldn't come back and play at full strength this year, then you had him developing, and then you would have had him on your team. And I thought he was outstanding. I would have loved to see the Steelers take Kobe Dean.
He's hard not to like because he made plays all over the field.
All over the field. And, a high character guy, and he was the leader of that team, the leader of that defense.
Yeah.
So
he is small.
That's one I would wish to happen. I think the Eagles are my team. The Eagles and the Jets absolutely crushed the draft, followed by the Ravens. Those are the three teams I think did the best.
I think just given their track record and proven thing overall, and the way they compete every year, I give it to I just trust the Ravens draft head. You look at their first three picks.
I think it's the Eagles and the Jets with the number of good players they put in. The Ravens didn't have as many players, but the Ravens have a bunch of picks again today. So because they traded down a couple times.
Even the Ravens getting a first round pick for Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, who's been, I would say, a bust for a first round. The fact that the Cardinals gave up a first round pick for him and then they were able to turn that into the best center in the draft, it's crazy.
I think, I follow the talking heads on that. I think that was a trade a trade that accommodated what Kyler Murray wanted.
They were
play with the college.
I think
they made the trade.
I think so too.
Yeah, I don't think that to me that's overpayment.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I like what Detroit did too. Honestly, I think Hutchins.
Yeah, there was a lot of teams that got better. There's no question about it. That's what the draft's supposed to do. So I'll be watching again today. I'm intrigued.
And I like the teams that drafted quarterbacks in the third round when they got them. I think that was good value. I think.
Yeah, I liked Carolina getting Matt Corral. I thought that was a great one. I thought the Ritter pick was a good pick.
Yeah.
And I thought Malik Willis in Tennessee. We'll have to see. There's so much written about the guy up and down. The arm strength is incredible. And so we'll have to see. I mean,
And
they
then,
made a big deal last night about him not being tall enough.
he's 6'1". Yeah, I mean.
Well, yeah, they list what he's probably. I bet he's 5'11".
Right. But Kyler Murray, who's just got a first round wide receiver, is pretty short. Russell Wilson, short. Drew
Yeah.
Brees was short.
Well, Kyler Murray's very short.
Yeah.
So, and he gets a lot of passes batted down, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
it's been interesting. It's been fun. And you know what? I'm just so ready to move on from the draft.
Already?
And they just if they've ever overdone it, this year was overdone in terms of the mocks and in terms of the production. And so, okay, like last night, first pick in round 2 is Tampa Bay, right?
Right.
It's their very first pick in the draft, right? So they've had how long to know who their pick was going to be?
And get trade offers.
Yet they don't announce it until like almost the end of the time limit, because that's what the NFL requires. It's got to be a 3 to 4 hour TV show, so you can't just throw your pick up there.
No. And then,
that's just crazy. I mean, it just, make it go smoother, make it go quicker. Less is more.
And I know the first round, they're going to drag those picks out as long as they can, but Jacksonville should have been on the clock at 8:01.
Yeah, I mean, they knew who they were going to take, and it was even worse, though, with the Buccaneers, because the whole thing unfolded in front of them, so you knew who you were going to take. I mean, like Jacksonville, but I mean, same thing. It was the first round, the first pick in the second round, but it was your very, very first pick. So you watched this whole thing unfold, and you knew who you were going to take. That's crazy.
Yeah, but they also...
Let's move on. I guess before we get to the NBA, I want to comment on the Mark Emmert resign.
Yes, please do.
And if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I have no love at all. No love.
Nor should anyone.
And I said on Twitter that this guy coined the term management by neglect. He just let things happen, and all this NIL and all this transfer portal and all this stuff is a result of him being a poor leader and not anticipating, what was going to happen, and not being smart enough to have something in play, and then trying to rely on Congress to legislate his problem away for him, and that was never going to happen.
No.
And so I said, I'm 71 years old, and in my lifetime, this is the worst leader in the sports industry ever. And, and I didn't like Bud Selig, and I'm not crazy about Roger Goodell.
No.
But this guy takes it to an art form. He is the absolute worst. So I don't know who's going to take his. I don't know who they're going to bring in there, but it's going to be a really difficult job because of the bad job this guy did. That's what I would say. And you could say the TV contracts were a great thing. Those TV contracts would have happened if my dog would have negotiated them.
That's the way I feel about Roger Goodell. It's like there's an official ladder of the NFL. Ladder.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone is begging to be the official.
The TV contracts are going to happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who the commissioner is, but all the other stuff, right?
Right.
That doesn't happen is because it's a bad leader. Now, I know that in the next 2 weeks, now that the draft is over after tonight, we'll get the Deshaun Watson ruling, which I kind of agree with. You don't want anything like that. It's going to be a huge story to detract from one of your marquee events.
True.
But we're going to see this happen. But it could happen already. I mean, once the trade was down, you could have said, okay, he's going to sit out 6 games. Or you could have said, whoever signs him, he's going to sit out 6 games, or whatever it's going to be. So anyhow, that's my Mark Emmert, my bad leaders, and all these guys, and I don't know, I've had mixed reviews. Adam Silver, for the most part, has been good, but not David Stern good in my mind. So he's the best of what's out there. But he's done far better job than any of the other guys out there.
Do you think if Emmert and the NCAA, because I'll put them in the same, rather than being the greediest, most evil corporation in a while for college athletes, if they had, come up with some sort of either, trust compensation packages for college athletes, or done something, or allowed, did something that it would be less out of control than it is right now? Like if they had back in the day,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they had them against,
we're gonna pay them, and this is gonna be the wage scale. And a freshman gets this, a sophomore gets this, a junior gets this, a senior gets this. Yeah, you could have done that,
Right.
and that would have prevented this. But this is like, there's just no rules.
Right.
I mean, and so when I see today that Jordan Addison, the Pitt receiver that won the Bolitikoff Award, is going to transfer to Southern Cal because of an NIL deal.
Yeah.
And that's, that is pay for play. I mean, and that's a recruiting advantage. And again, in that article that I reprinted today, or I recirculated today on Twitter, I said, and this is before Lincoln Riley took that job, I said that the two biggest beneficiaries of NIL were going to be USC and UCLA because they're in LA, because there's a lot of entertainment opportunities associated with that market. I said those were going to be two schools to clean up. So far, USC has made me, Nostradamus, because they've done everything I thought they would be able to do. UCLA, not as much, but again, they're overshadowed by USC. USC is going to be a dominant player because of this. They'll be great recruiting, and they'll be great in the transfer portal.
And I saw those two twin girls that have a pretty big social media following transferred to Miami, which to give me a Miami.
And Miami is the other one. And I missed on Miami. I should have said Miami is.
Yeah.
They've got unbelievable NIL.
Exactly.
And I should have realized that because if you go back to the days when the Canes were good, because of all the illegal inducements.
Yeah.
And now all those inducements are legal. Miami's going to clean up, and Miami is a very attractive market for young people, just like LA.
Yep.
Oh, well. Let's go NBA. And I just got done watching Memphis, Minnesota, which was one of the best series I've ever watched. But it's still just incredible to me, having watched every one of those games, that Minnesota could have won that series 4-1 if they weren't so stupid in panicking when Memphis made a run, taking really bad shots, having a lot of turnovers, and then, Memphis is like the T.J. Watt and J.J. Watt of basketball. I never saw so many strips in my life.
Yeah.
In basketball games, I've never seen players strip so many times of the ball. And Karl Anthony Towns better get some stronger hands because he got stripped constantly under the hoop.
If I'm Minnesota, I'm happy we made it to we made it to the playoffs. We won that win, the winning the play-in game. Got excited, put up a nice show against the number 2 seed. But for me, the only untouchable in my roster is Anthony Edwards. I'm not sure I'm in the Karl Towns business anymore.
You know what they need to get? They need to get a bad dude. They need to get an enforcer. They need to get a tough guy. They don't have a tough guy. Anthony Edwards is a tough guy, but he's a guard.
Yeah, and he's
You got to have a tough guy. You got to have a power forward that is going to rebound because they don't rebound well.
No.
You need a power forward who's going and kick ass and take names. But next year in the NBA, you got to love Memphis again. You got to love Minnesota, and you got to love New Orleans.
Yeah. And you saw Zion said he would sign the paper in a minute.
Yeah. Were you going to say about Zion say he signed an extension in a New York Minute?
Yep.
That's pretty. I never thought that would happen, Jay. I thought for sure he's out like a shot.
I think he's played the equivalent of one season in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
He's obviously got the weight issue to go along with the injury issues, and those two are sort of connected and compound each other. And I think, if he wants to get to New York or LA or wherever he wants to go, I'm not saying they wouldn't get him, but I do think he needs to reestablish himself.
That's a good point. You know what? On the wise ass side, you know what I would say? He needs to play in a city with with terrible food.
I don't think those exist anymore.
Salt Lake City. He needs to be on the Jazz.
Okay, because I was like, I'm like, you can go to Cleveland and find a couple of good, it's.
Yeah, but New Orleans is just New Orleans, Chicago, and New York would be just terrible places for him to go if he loves to eat. But
Well,
I
as
mean,
Barkley and Shaq could not stop laughing about earlier when he was like, Portland don't got good food.
yeah,
They talk about Voodoo Donuts and other places. Like, I mean, it's
yeah, I know you can find stuff, but
and it seems
New
like
Orleans is just there's just too much. It's overwhelming in New Orleans.
yeah, but he's eating like a full Domino's meal with a 2 liter of Coke at night. Like he's not even. It's not even like he's eating like delicious
Good
good.
food.
I mean, yeah, he's
Yeah.
eating fast food and again, I know I brought this up on the podcast, but if you read that old Sports Illustrated about Jared Lorenzen and his just addiction to food,
Yeah,
this seems like it's closer to that than anything else. But again, like I said, I mean, if I'm the Knicks, like obviously I want Zion. I mean, if I'm any team in the NBA, I want him because he still seems
Yeah.
like a fun dude. But
yeah, he's good. Well, let's
one,
talk about the matchups.
well, let's talk about Joel Embiid first.
Okay, Tia, talk about Joel Embiid out. They're going to reassess him next week
Next week,
with the orbital was it orbital fracture?
an orbital
And a
fracture
concussion, right?
and a concussion.
An
Yeah,
orbital contusion or a fracture?
it said fracture is what I read, but I mean, I
And
don't.
I saw another one said contusion. I've seen both contusion and fracture, but I also saw a concussion.
Yeah, and he's already got the broken thumb. This is a chance for Miami just to come in there. I mean, they already got the home court, but you can get 3 games of that Embiid basically.
Yeah. So I'm going to take Miami in that series. I'm going to take the Celtics in against the Bucks.
There's no Chris Middleton; he's out for the entire series.
Yeah, I'm going to take the. I just like the way the Celtics are playing, and you called that a month ago. I like the way they're playing right now.
But don't forget the X factor in that series is Grayson Allen taking out Tatum's knee in an accidental collision,
Yeah,
Grayson Allen style.
yeah, it could happen.
I mean, he has been playing well, but I mean, he still had 2 or 3 plays this year that got that he's getting booed everywhere. He's not a very likable guy.
So I like Boston and Miami, and I think right now I would pick Boston coming out of the East.
The way they're playing, if everybody stays healthy and the people that are injured stay injured, I like that as well.
All right, now what do you got? Memphis, Golden State. Who are you going to take? Golden State?
Golden State. I think Golden State in 5. I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, I think I just think if Golden State gets up 10 or 15, they have a killer instinct.
Yeah.
They're not going to blow a lead.
No. I
And
mean,
then
like you
got
said,
Phoenix, Dallas, and I've got Phoenix there.
I got Dallas.
You got Dallas? Okay. So we disagree on that.
I think
And
Booker, Booker looked okay coming back, but hamstrings are tough, and he's not going to.
He obviously rushed back because they wanted to win the series.
Yeah.
And he didn't really, we'll have to see where he goes. But I see Phoenix getting by there, and then I see a Phoenix Golden State matchup. And
I think the East
right
is
now,
producing
I'm
the
gonna
champion.
say I'm not going to pick a winner there yet. It's too close to. I got to wait to see how Booker looks in this next series. If Booker looks like Booker, then I'm going to take Phoenix. If he doesn't, then I've got to take Golden State.
I just think the amount of effort he's going to have to put in, he's had hamstring issues, and he's coming back really quickly. I could see him retweaking that pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, and he's had a history of hamstring issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, absolutely, I see that happening.
But Dallas is healthy again. They're playing phenomenal defense. Brunson and Luka have been just off the charts. I just really like what they're doing right now. And I think they're playing with house money. And
no question about that.
I still think the winner of this, I think if I was putting the odds on who's going to win the title, I would probably put Boston, Milwaukee, Miami would be my top 3.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have one of the West teams?
Not in my top 3 right now, no.
Wow. I think Golden State is getting right at the right times. And I think they've got a pedigree of a champion. I think that they could win it all.
And even though I think we talked about
usually when I pick something, it's the kiss of death. So everybody run out and don't bet on Golden State.
But I think we talked about it last week, but I want to repeat it again. Steph Curry, coming off the bench, perfectly fine with it. He knows it's what's best for the team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know another superstar that I've seen in my entire life that would do that in the prime of their career.
I think he'll be starting.
I think he will event, but I mean, the fact that he spent 4 weeks being the best sixth man in the NBA.
I agree. But I think he'll start. I think now in this round he'll start. We'll see.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
No, what he did was amazing. There's a lot of people that I agree with you. That would have been that's very very rare.
because he knew. I mean, A,
But
it
you know
helped
what's
him.
funny? The other two superstars on that team would have been the same guy. They
Yeah,
would have done the same way. Draymond would have come in off the bench, and Clay would have come in off the bench. That's who they are.
and
That's a very rare combination of talent.
leadership. I mean, I guess Steph has been
Yeah,
the best player, but I mean, you look at what he did. Like Kevin Durant came in, and it was still his team, but he was fine giving KE. He didn't feel like
yeah.
he's a team guy, and I just as annoying as he and his wife are in social media and trying to build their brand, I do respect him a ton as a basketball player because that's just awesome that he does that.
No question. So I mean, that's a very likable team, and they just they're who they are.
Yeah.
We had a no-hitter in baseball last night using 5 pitchers.
Still counts.
Still counts, and I mean, but that's in the modern world. That's what a no-hitter is going to look like, unless it's a Max Scherzer pitching, and then that would, I could see Max Scherzer being allowed to go 9 innings.
Yeah.
My Angels are hot right now. They won 6 in a row. Otani and Trout are both playing well, as is this Ward, and they've got some really good guys. If they get some pitching, the Angels could finally meet my expectations. I'm looking forward to going to game the end of May.
Nice.
And I'll go see them. I'll also go see them when they come here to Tampa.
Oh yeah, they do come to Tampa.
Yeah. What else we got? Hockey playoff start. You got any thoughts there?
I'm hopeful for the Penguins, but their goalie situation once again doesn't look great. So,
And I don't think the Lightning are capable of a three-peat.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, I'd like to think so, but I don't think so.
I do feel like the hockey playoffs are sometimes the hardest to predict.
I mean, Florida had the best record,
Right.
but this is uncharted territory for the Florida Panthers.
And we got to get the NHL championships out of Florida. No offense.
Yeah, I mean, I like Colorado. I like the Rangers. I like Toronto. I mean, maybe this is the year that we have a Canadian team win a Stanley Cup for the first time in quite a while.
Yeah, an original 6 Toronto Maple Leafs, that's what you need. Although the Rangers would be a fun playoff too, I think.
Yeah, and they're an original 6, so
Exactly.
either of them. But I think that's what you're going to see, those teams. I don't think Florida. I think they had a great regular season. I don't think it goes on. There's a lot of really even talent. It'll come down to what it always comes down to, Jason, the hot goaltender.
Always.
Always. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And anybody can get hot. We've seen anybody can get hot, so we'll see what happens.
Exactly. I had some entertainment.
We shout out to Chase Jones for giving us a couple of entertainment picks. Dope Sick and The Pharmacist,
I think
which
both of
neither Jason and I have seen, and we'll check those out. But since Chase recommended them, I know they're good. So,
and I think they're both on Hulu, too, for people.
yeah, probably for sure.
Yeah.
I know Ozark dropped last night, so I'm excited to watch. I'm going to watch my draft today, and then I'm going to watch some Ozark.
Okay.
And then tomorrow I'm excited about the NBA playoff matchups. I really am. I like the matchups in this round.
It's very exciting. I started season 3 of Atlanta. And Atlanta is one of those shows that I can't watch more than 1 or 2 episodes a day at the time. They just really make you think. They're kind of, I don't want to say heavy is the right word, but they have a lot going on.
And that's the way I feel about Ozark. If I'm watching Ozark, then I got to watch Wonder Years, Last Man Standing, or something afterwards before I go to bed.
I don't know. Did I mention that I watched The Batman last week?
No.
I did.
And?
It's like if you took Zodiac and Seven, but put Batman in the movie.
Oh.
So that it focuses much more on Batman the detective, less so on Batman the action hero.
I might like that then.
Paul Dano does an excellent job as the Riddler. The makeup on Colin Farrell should be probably Oscar worthy. Like, it's pretty incredible. He plays the Penguin. I would say, some of the clues that the Riddler does are a little bit simplistic, but I know it's for a mainstream audience. So you can't, go too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
What would you rate the movie on a 1 to 100? What's your Rotten Tomatoes score for the Jason Tomato score? What's your score?
I'm gonna put it in the 70s.
Okay.
I will watch a second one. I thought Pattinson was fine as Batman. There's not really a lot for him to do. He does play more of my style Batman, which is there is no Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. Batman has always become at this point, and Bruce Wayne is the mask he puts on to like move around society.
Uh-huh.
Which is why I never really liked the Tim Burton one. Plus, as much as I love Michael Keaton, like Mr. Mom in a muscle suit is just not Batman to me.
Was Ben Affleck Batman too?
I refuse to watch Batfleck. Yeah.
Okay.
The best
Yeah,
Batman.
this looked interesting to me because of the way it was set up, the
And-
Batman, and I like this. This seems more true to the comic series.
Yeah. And I even like, and I was surprised at this, but there's an outtake you can watch on YouTube where there's a minute, and this is where he goes a little Silence of the Lambs. Batman goes to talk to a serial killer to find out a little bit more about the Riddler, because the Riddler's murdering people.
Oh, so it's not the fun Riddler, like the
No.
old TV show. Okay.
Like I said, this is Seven, Silence of the Lambs, Zodiac,
Yeah.
all with a Batman in it.
All right.
But
Well, see, now I wouldn't have watched it, and now I'm going to watch it.
and you could, when you're done with the movie, go on YouTube and watch the clip with him and the serial killer who becomes the Joker, is what we learned. But it's a different take on the Joker. Like basically the Joker was a serial killer. He's in Arkham right now. And he was born with sort of the Elephant Man disease, and that explains why his face is the way it is.
Okay.
And he's had sort of this dark, he's had people looking at him his entire life in this weird sort of way, and that's sort of where he gets his craziness from. And he sort of has that cerebral crazy person thing going on. And
All right,
between
so this sounds like there's much more backstory and character development than the other movies.
yes, and it's definitely like it's the least actiony Batman movie probably of all of them.
Well, I like that. I mean, I don't need all the CG stuff. I don't want that. I want a story.
And
So
again,
this sounds good. Okay.
it's far from a flawless movie, but it's pretty enjoyable.
Okay.
And then my last entertainment movement is a video game related one. I'm sure people on here, even if they don't play video games, have heard of Elden Ring, which has gotten perfect scores across the board. It's a Bandai Namco game. It's in the Souls series, which are supposed to be incredibly dense and hard games. And, I resisted it for the longest amount of time, but it's all I played this week, and I get it. It's pretty amazing. Like George R.R. Martin writes the story,
Mm-hmm.
and you're basically just, it's got a bit of a Lord of the Elden Ring is something you're trying to, and there's all these monsters and bosses and things you're fighting along the way, but it's an open world, and you're just sort of out there, amongst it, and but it's the least handholdy, and the menus are very dense. So it's also it's weird because it's supposed to be about sort of solo exploration, but it's become such a phenomenon that if you look on Instagram, Facebook, there's videos. If you go on Reddit, there's thread. I mean, it's become a very social experience for a non-social game.
Okay. While we're on esports, I want to shout out the Riot Games, which my son Dan, your brother Dan,
Yeah, I know him.
is involved with now, and I saw that Valorant is now offering no entry fee to compete, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's going to be, if it starts a trend or if it's an exception. So I haven't had a chance to talk to Dan about it. I just read about it the other day, and it's getting a lot of play that people really like the fact that they're offering this, which is like just an open opportunity for a lot of people that want to try and get into this game and compete. And
Yeah.
I like that. So we'll see what happens, and maybe I'll talk to Dan, and I'll have a follow up for this next week when we do the show.
And an anti-consumer video game move that just there's a weird pattern where whoever's on top in the video game market, they make so many anti-consumer decisions. When Xbox launched their Game Pass, which is basically like Netflix for games,
Right?
they had there was this exploit where it was $1 per month to upgrade from regular, to their Game Pass from regular, whatever we used to games of gold.
Hmm.
So what you could do is you could buy 3 years of gold, stack it, and then pay $1, and those would all upgrade, and you would get this huge. It was like a nice way to get people into the Xbox ecosystem, but also a nice way to reward people that were already your gold customers and people like that.
Okay.
So Sony is launching their own program. It's much more convoluted and not as consumer friendly as far as what you're getting. But as soon as they found out that people could stack, they shut it down, and now you can't even redeem a code.
Oh.
Yeah. They said, don't worry, your codes are good, and once the new system, once we launch the new program, you'll be able to redeem your code then. But it's just, there's a weird arrogance. Like when Xbox was in the lead, they did all this anti-consumer stuff that people didn't like, and Sony took over. And now Sony's been by far the most popular, and now they're doing this sort of thing. And again, I don't know how many people would really take advantage of the stacking. I'm sure they had a number in mind, but it just seems if you're a competitor, it seems like rather than using this as a chance to be everything Xbox is but better and just as consumer friendly and maybe crush them, you're doing all these things that make Xbox look better. And
Okay.
I don't understand the arrogance on that level.
All right. Any food?
No.
I actually had a food.
Okay.
I was in Cleveland, and I went to a restaurant called Il Venetian, and they advertised their Sunday sauce,
Okay. That sounds like you already.
cooked for 18 hours.
There you go.
And it was rigatoni, and it came with 2 meatballs, a short rib, and a piece of sausage.
Okay.
And it was outstanding. And I genuinely believe it might have cooked for 18 hours. Even though that's kind of excessive, you don't need to cook it. If you cook a tomato sauce for 12 or 14 hours, it's pretty good. 18 would be over the top. But it was really, really good. Il Venetian is in I think it's in the Marriott in downtown Cleveland. And It was really, really good. I was very, very impressed with it.
Very nice.
And then I want to have a shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. While I was up there working with them this week, they had a happy hour celebration on Thursday. And they had food, beer, wine, soft drinks. Really, really nice spread for all the employees.
Okay.
And then gave them Thursday afternoon and Friday off to have a long weekend as a thank you for the season.
That's very nice. I like that.
Yeah, I like when they do things like that. So I was very, very impressed. It was, and the food was really good. It was their concessionaire, so they had like black Angus sliders, but then they also had black bean sliders for people that were vegetarians. And they had like 2 or 3 different kinds of pizza, and they had some nachos, and they had some barbecue. They had a lot of really, really good food. It was really nice. The employees really appreciated it. Okay. And then they also gave a shout out to all the things that happened during the year and the different employees that had done some above and beyond things. It was nice. Really, really well done.
Well, I'm going to have a tiny political moment here at the end. If people want to turn off, that's fine. In the midst of, debt cancellation, student debt cancellation talk, I've seen a lot of people get angry with well, if I did it, or if it happens after me, that's BS. One, that's a terrible attitude to take. And just think, every time you drive on a bridge, which I have to do quite often here in New Orleans, someone decided that transversing the water without a bridge sucked. And they didn't want to have to do it again, and they're happy that other people don't have to go through that again. The way we move forward is with more bridge building, more making it easier for the people behind us. There's plenty of strife and hardship as being a human that, and even if this particular government cancellation, if it happens or it doesn't happen, who knows, probably won't. Even if that doesn't benefit you directly, it probably benefits someone in a positive way. And it opens the door for other nice policies for the people and less policies maybe for the already rich people. So Just
No, I think that's fine. And I've always been a proponent of having like a civil service kind of a thing that if you were a teacher
yeah,
and you wanted to teach in some inner city schools and you did that for 2 years, that would wipe out your student debt. I've always thought there's a way, I don't know if I'm good for just forgiving it,
you have to
but
be because
I
it's
like
gotten
ways
fucking.
for people to earn the forgiveness.
It's out of control.
Yep.
The entire system, and then when you add in the fact that just the way it works, like you shouldn't have any. There should be no. The interest should be way lower than it is already because it's supposed to be about helping people move up, not getting people
Yes.
caught in debt. And anybody that graduates from undergrad or graduate school knows the first 5 years of your life, you're probably not going to be able to pay off any of that debt.
True.
You're going to have entry level positions. You're going to have low wage jobs. You're going to have to move
And you've
around.
got and you've got rent deposits and security deposits and having to get off your parents' insurance. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There's a lot of expenses when you just enter the workforce.
And maybe you got to move
make
twice.
Paying that student loan very, very difficult.
And what they tell you to do is to put it in forbearance, but the interest builds up, and then you get people caught in this sort of weird indentured servitude where they're constantly paying off.
Yeah.
And again, they just need to work. I mean, there needs to be a workable system. And the reason you would.
There needs to be a workable system because, on the other hand, Jay, I wouldn't want somebody saying, okay, I'm now going to go to Vanderbilt because I'm not going to pay my student loan off rather than going to the University of Tennessee, the tuition would be 1/4 of what Vanderbilt would be. And if you knew you weren't going to pay it off,
Well, yeah, but I think that's Fox News bullshit. I mean, I don't think that that's what's happening. I mean,
No. I'm
right.
just saying
No.
that possibility might be out there.
But it doesn't happen for the, 34 million people that are struggling right now in student debt? Like, that are already caught up in a corrupt system. It's just like the NCAA. Like, we didn't reach a perfect solution, and we're not there yet. But inaction or lack of action on it is not helping.
Yeah.
Like, the system is beyond screwed up. And
I
when you
agree.
add
I
an
think we need something to alleviate the situation.
right, and maybe you got to, like I said,
if it's a total forgiveness or if it's a partial forgiveness or if it's a way of just working off your debt, but something. We need something there that people.
But then you need a full reset of the system.
Yeah, you need to revamp the system, but you need to fix. You need to have a starting point. It's something you can do now and then revamp the system.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm telling all my clients that I would like to see them if they're really concerned about recruiting and retaining employees. The two things I think would make a difference
Right.
are a longevity bonus. So if you work here for 3 years, you get a lump sum to put on your student loan. Okay, I think that's a good thing to do, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
And I also think that one of the greatest expenses right now is daycare. And if you have young families young people that want to have a family and work in the sports industry, you need to have either daycare credits or you should have a daycare on site. I mean, you got a stadium, you got plenty of room.
Yeah.
Or an arena, and it's not used during the day, right?
Right.
I mean, you could have a daycare center. And then on that shout out, I think everybody should offer maternity and paternity benefits, and they don't.
No.
So I want to see that happen too. And so on this whole thing, a shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves for having a living wage where nobody that works at the Timberwolves makes less than $50,000.
Well, sadly, by math, it's 70,000 is a living wage. So.
I know, but still, in the sports industry, 50 is a huge step up.
Yeah,
and
but
it's a again, Jason, it's a movement. It's a movement, and somebody has to start. Whether 50 is the right number or not, the fact that somebody said nobody can make less than this is a big step. And hopefully other people will follow it and figure out what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there are companies that are saying no less than 70, though, and those exist too, so.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not sports franchises. Sports franchises can pay considerably lower than anybody in the business industry.
I suppose.
Even fast food pays as well as sports industries.
Yeah, but that's the problem
you have to bring them along. You have to have a starting point. You have to have somebody that's willing to get out there and say, I'm gonna start a trend. I'm gonna start a difference.
Right, but if you're almost 30% under a living wage, by the time you move up,
that's the whole country. So you can't
Yeah.
single out somebody. You got to give somebody praise for making a step. You got to give them credit for making a step. Otherwise, it just stays the way it is.
Yeah, but that's what, like, I mean, all right, we'll just leave on that one. Yeah.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, enjoy the playoffs.
Hope your team does well in the draft.
I don't know who else will still be interested in rounds 4 through 7 besides Jason and I, but
Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, you never know.
there you go. There you go. Good point. Good point.
They're coming.
And so we need to look at these things. We have a fun time with this 4 through 7. And on that point, I'm hoping the Steelers draft Carnell Lake's son and Craig Hayward's brother.
I'd be happy with both those guys. Yeah, let's have more brothers. We need more brothers on the Steelers too.
All right. Everybody take care.